Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today got a little project I'm working on for a viewer. This is being done for Mike Sajak, who has a very early, I say early, very early, it's pretty dang early, steam whistle that was made by Crosby. It has an 1877 patent date on it, nearly certainly made before 1900. Most patents, they had about a 20-year lifespan, so they would put patent dates on things for about 20 years after the patent date. So, that would probably date this between 1877 and 1897, so pretty old whistle. However, it had an issue. It had a part that was broken on it, which was the whistle lever. This is a part that kind of mounts here over on the side. I'll show you a little bit closer up, and it's what the lever comes in here that when you pull on it, it depresses the valve that opens up the steam to the whistle. It was broken. We actually, I think, did a video on this a while back where we did a repair to this, but decided to kind of go a step further and actually make a new part to really make a good, solid repair on this. So let me zoom you in here and kind of show you what we got and tell you a little bit of the backstory on this, and we'll get started on trying to knock this part out. So this is the whistle itself, and it's stamped here on the side. It says Crosby Steam Gauge and Valve Company, Boston, and patented January 30th, 1877. And it also has a number down here. I think this is a serial number, number 6113, that was on the nut where they tighten it up. It's been kind of damaged from pipe wrenches and stuff getting on it over the years, but no, not too terribly bad. This is the part that is needing to be made, and originally the little side piece over here had broken off, and again previously I had taken a piece of brass and we had, I think, TIG brazed this back together. I put a piece on the side. It actually isn't the original piece, but it's a little bit thin. It's not really exactly right, and so what we decided to do was to basically cast a new piece to go on here. This would have been cast brass back in the day. So we cast a new piece out of some brass. This is actually red brass, which is what this whistle is made out of. And it's a pretty close color match. This has got some patina on it, so it's a little bit darker, but as this part here, once we get it made and it ages, it will kind of darken up a little bit. I think it's going to be a pretty good match going forward. But basically what I did was I just took this part and I modeled it in CAD. I did it in Fusion 360, and we made a split pattern. You can kind of see the parting line through there where it was a 2-half pattern. I sent this over to Clark Easterling at Windy Hill Foundry, and Clark cast this in brass. He actually has a video of him casting this part along with a couple of other parts that he did for me at the same time. But today's job is we need to machine this and make it fit. This is going to be a challenging part to machine. Basically, we need to face the bottom of this. I did make it oversized in thickness, make sure you have plenty of metal there. Need to face that off, turn this down. This gets threaded. I have to figure out what thread pitch that is. I don't know off the top of my head. We'll drill out the inside and have a hole that goes through it where this valve piece will go in. And then up at the top, obviously, we'll have to go to the milling machine and cut that slot in the back there and drill the hole through it for the screw to go into. And I say this is going to be a challenging part. The machining part is not going to be that difficult. The challenging part is going to be work holding. And I talk about this often in my videos where work holding is sometimes the most challenging part of some of the projects we do. How do we hold this in the lathe? Basically, I've only got a real thin area that I can grip this over on the lathe with my chuck without getting in the way of machining it. We've got the stem that's coming off the back that's going to kind of want to be in the way of the chucks and everything else. And bottom line is what I ended up doing was I bought some aluminum soft jaws. These are jaws that I can mount over on my chuck. They're made out of aluminum, and we're going to machine these jaws to basically fit this part so that we can put it in there and have a little the back of this part will rest against a step in there, and it'll kind of help make sure this thing is running true to the back here so it's not wobbling. Don't know, I may have to kind of notch some stuff out for this stem on 2 of the jaws. I've just got to see what kind of clearance we got when we get over there. But basically having to make a set of jaws just to hold this part, which is sometimes just what you got to do. So anyway, let's get over there and get started. We're going to be working on the Monarch 16-inch lathe to do most of this work. And first step is going to be to get these soft jaws mounted and actually machine the soft jaws to hold this particular job. So let's get started on it. So I've got my 3-jaw chuck over here in the lathe, and what we need to do is take the hard jaws that are on here off. Now these jaws are designed to be removable. You can turn them around depending on whether you want to grip something, how you want to grip it. Usually they're turned around with them like this, and you're just chucking on there. But if you got a bigger piece you want to grip on the outside and have a little back step on them, you can flip them around. That's kind of the way they were the last time I used them. And so I'm going to start by taking that off and just cleaning it up a little bit. These aluminum soft jaws are designed to mount right up on it, fit right in there. So we'll just go ahead and get all 3 of these mounted and in place, and then we can start figuring out what we need to do to machine it for the particular job we're doing. All right, got those mounted up. Now need to machine that. I'll open them up enough to where it's not really touching this little radius area in the back, and that's also going to give me clearance for this to kind of fit in between 2 jaws. And basically what I want to do is just machine. I get a boring bar, we'll machine a round area there that matches this diameter, and with a flat back that will allow us to go in, just a little bit. Let's see what we got here. So the original here, that's basically a 1/4 inch thick, 250 thousandths. It's a little less than that, but I'm sure it was supposed to be 250 thousandths. So we'll probably just go in a 1/4 inch and machine that to that diameter. And then that, like I said, should just kind of fit right up in there. And it'll press up against the back of this so that you'll have a nice solid back on it, and it should be running true to the top here, and then we'll be able to grip that and hopefully do this work. So let me get a boring bar set up and we'll do that. All right, I think we got it set up here. We're going to go ahead and start machining this. The outside diameter needs to be 1 inch 525 thousandths, and it needs to be a 1/4 inch deep. So let's fire our lathe up and we'll get this thing, see if we can get it machined. Tell you what I think I'm going to do. I think I want to try to find a piece of stock that'll fit in this roughly and let me clamp on it. That way I'll be machining this with pressure in it. It's not going to be cutting in the back side back there. So let me see if I can find something just kind of clamp in there. I think I got a piece here that's just a little bit bigger than what we had, but it's going to be close enough. And like I said, I'm just going to do that kind of in the back of the jaws. And what I'll do is I'll just make sure that I've got it tight while I'm machining it, and it'll give me a nice surface there. And I'm not going to be going that deep to run into that, so that'll help. All right, let's do this again. I'll come up here and just kind of touch off on the depth there. I'm going to zero out my digital readout. I'll pull out until I just start cutting in there. And I'm just going to do about 40 thousandths, I think, right now on the depth. Just going to feed in 250 thousandths. Right there. probably have to go get me a one of my bore micrometers to measure that diameter with, because I can't put a set of calipers in there. Let me go find a bore mic to measure that with. So I've just got a three-sided bore micrometer that kind of matches the three jaws I have here, and we're going to see where we're at on the diameter so we can see where we're turning to. So that's pretty much where we're at right now, and looks like we're at 1.502 is where we're at right now. I'm going to put that in digital readout. 1.502, enter. Yeah, we're already close to where we need to be at. And I tell you, I may put a smaller piece of metal in there. I'm not going to have be cutting enough off of it, I think. So let me see if I can find a little bit smaller diameter here. Let's try this. Give me enough room. Yeah, that's enough room for that gap in there. And yeah, that's gonna be perfect. All right, I'm gonna do that again. We'll go ahead and kind of truth up that front face and get a measurement, and go out one more time. Come out and touch off. Deep. I'm going to do another pass. All right, let me get a measurement on that now. 1.1, 25, 150. So we're about 156. 1 inch, 156 thousandths. And I'm just going to go that 1.25 inches. I'm actually just going to face back out the back, make a nice flat back in there. And that should be just right for our part to fit up in, which it does. And I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to face a little bit off the front here just to make sure I got some clearance. Make sure I got a nice flat front edge on there. I'm not going to do the whole face of the jaws, but that's enough to give me the clearance I need to work. So now we can take our plug out. And we should be able to put our casting in like such. Grip it down. Make sure I got that in there nice and flat up against the back. All right, now I've got a custom holding device here. The back is going to be the top of this casting is going to be on the back there, so that should keep it from, you know, running fairly true with the casting. It is a casting, so it's not going to be perfectly round. But we're going to be machining that off. So that should take care of it for work holding. You can see the little spout there just kind of fits right up in the jaws, so that's out of the way. And now we can start working on this bottom. All right, work holding done. Let's start machining. The next thing I need to do is face the bottom of this and get that to the right thickness. Now the original part is 1/2 inch. I mean, we're within 3,000. I'm sure, again, this is rough casting, so it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to need to cut that down to 1/2 inch. Right now, we are, about 80 thousandths, 90 thousandths large. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, here we go. Start now that I got a machine surface on there. It's just rough, but it'll give us something to measure here, see where we're at. We're going to call that 578.578. Put that in the digital readout. 0.578. Right on 1/2 inch on that one. This one's probably going to be a little bit different because we got a rough casting, so it's about 4 thousandths large. I can't get a measurement on that one, but we're close enough. Again, it's not a critical measurement there. All right, so next up, I think what I want to do is go ahead and get my holes drilled in here. We're going to have a through hole. What size is that? Okay, the stem is measuring about 425 thousandths. I imagine that was originally 7/16, which would be 4.375, and over the last 100 years, it's just worn down. And again, this is worn large as well. It's a little bit over that, but we're going to go with 7/16, which will be just fine. So let me get a drill set up, center, and we'll drill that through. Running through there. There we go. So the next step is there's kind of a recessed out hollow in here. Now, I think that originally, in fact, I don't think I know, originally that was cast. You can actually see the parting line in there. It was just cast with a core. We decided to cast it solid. It was just going to be easier to make the pattern, and if you're making hundreds of these, that amount of brass that you saved there would be significant, but on a one-off part, it was irrelevant. So we just did it the easy way. But I measured this, and this is basically, it just goes in about 300 thousandths deep and then kind of has a little taper in the bottom that is very similar to the taper you'd have in a drill bit. It's just for clearance. There's nothing precision about that hole at all. I'm just going to use a drill bit. We're just going to go in 300 thousandths deep and we'll be fine. I measured the inside bore there. It's really, really close to 31 32nds, 0.96875. So I've got a 31 32nds drill bit in here. We're going to go in about 300 thousandths deep and just kind of open that up. Let's measure that. All right, we're only about 60 thousandths deep right now. That should be it. All right, that's good. So next step here is we need to turn this outside diameter that we're going to thread. Now I've measured that, and it seems to be a non-standard oddball thread, of course, but no problem. We're cutting on the lathe, so it shouldn't really matter. I've measured this piece, and I've also measured the piece that goes on the other side of it, which has the same thread. In both of them, the outside diameter is measuring exactly 1 inch, 225 thousandths in diameter. Now, I would have thought it would have been 1 1/4 inch, 250 thousandths, but they're measuring 225 thousandths. That's not a fractional dimension, but you got to remember this whistle was made in the late 1800s before there were any standards. Quite possibly, a lot of times they would make a proprietary thread like this so that, you know, you had to buy your parts from them instead of using an off-the-shelf part or something like that. I don't know what the story is, but I do know that we need to match it. So we're going to turn that outside diameter to 1 inch, 225 thousandths in diameter. Now, as far as how far down we need to go, basically it just goes right to this little bend. So you can see the little bend right here. We're just going to machine right up to the bottom of that, and that's as deep as we'll go. And we'll go 225, 1 inch, 225 thousandths on diameter. We're just going to take our time on this. See where I am in relation to the bottom there. Yeah, we're right up on it. So, and we get a diameter on that. We'll put it in the digital readout, and we'll go from there. Yeah, we're right on the money. All right, we're gonna have to thread this right up against that shoulder. And just to get clearance in there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually put a little groove back there in the back for those threads to kind of cut into, which is kind of what they've got in the original one as well. This is just a parting tool, and I've just got it kind of in there. And we're just gonna put a little recess back there again for those threads to cut into. Probably enough. So now I got a threading tool that will go in there and clear before I hit the back. It'll cut all the way around, so I think we're good there. Let me get this set up for 18 threads per inch, and we'll cut our threads. Well, guys, once again, I missed the action. I've got it threaded and I didn't have the camera on. This was pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of stressed out going up against that shoulder. I've got the chuck running pretty slow. Let me kind of show you how fast it was moving. See, we'll engage right there. And you can see it's moving very slowly, but when it gets up close to those jaws, and I mean, you just have hardly any room from the point that it comes out of the back and before you come into the face. So, I mean, it was zero tolerance. Very nerve-wracking. And would have made for a great video if I had remembered to hit the record button. Ding dong. All right, so now I've got this sitting in the jaw where this edge is up against this chuck right here. I'm gonna mark that, just in case I have to come back in here and go a little bit deeper. I've kind of got it where I can put it back in the exact same place. It goes up against the back shoulders. This tab, or that little edge, hits the chuck right there. And we should be able to put it in there if we have to. Let's hope we don't. I've just basically turned that until we got a sharp point on the top. We got the little notch in the back where we put the parting tool in for the tool to come out into. So let's try it out. Let's see if it fits. So let's see where we're at here. When we put this on, it actually fits really nice. And it comes up to right here and starts tightening up. And I think that's gonna be perfect because I was really concerned because this thing needs to be straight up and down. And right there, it's just tight. And I think that I can put a set of pliers on there and really tighten that down and get it straight up and down, and it's going to be a really tight fit in there, which is perfect. I was afraid I was going to have to put this back in there and actually face off the back side of this to get it where I could time it just right. But every now and then, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn, and I think I just found an acorn here. I hit it just out of pure luck, and I'll take luck any day of the week. So I think we're good here. Our threads are good. Yeah, look there, that's pretty tight right there. Let me get it back apart. Well, I'm gonna have to put there we go, just a little bit. Just a little bit more. There we go. I think it's gonna work. All right, so next thing we need to do is go over to the milling machine and mill the slot in there so that we can put our whistle valve in there. So again, we need to cut our little slot in there. It needs to be a 1/4 inch wide. I've got a 1/4 inch end mill in here, and it needs to go down roughly about to the bottom of this little round part here, and that should give me clearance for everything. I've just kind of got this centered up, you know, eyeballed it. It's nothing super critical. Should be fine, so we'll just nibble that out. Let's touch off. And we'll just take a little bit at a time. I don't have a really good work holding here. I'm just kind of gripping it on the sides there, so I'm taking light cuts here. I'm just going to nibble it out. We're doing about 25 thousandths roughly each pass. Just take my time and get her nibbled out there. And like I said, we'll just take it down about to the bottom of that round disc on the side. That should be deep enough. There's no critical measurements here. We just need clearance for that lever to be able to travel and actuate. And I think that'll do it. Let me go get my lever and just kind of test it out. So here we go. That will go in here, and I believe that's going to pivot just fine. Now we just need to drill a hole through there for that screw to go into. Let me figure out exactly what we need to do there. That needs to be drilled all the way through or drilled and tapped on one side. I'm not sure, and we'll get that done. So off camera, I went ahead and I drilled that out and tapped it 1/4 28 on one side and just drilled it out 1/4 inch on the other so that a screw will go in there and thread up in there, and we can put a lock nut on the back side of it. So let's go ahead and kind of put this back together. So we'll start with putting the valve back in. It goes on this side, and it just has a cap that kind of screws on there and covers it up. There's a spring in there so that there's spring pressure on that, as well as the air pressure is going to be pushing it closed as well. And then whenever you push that in, you'll release the air to the valve. So let me go ahead and snug that up real good. All right, so now we're going to put our part that we just made on. It'll fit over the valve stem, and this should tighten right up. It's going to start getting tight right there. I'm going to have to take a pair of pliers and tighten it on the rest of the way, which is right there. Now we take our lever, there is a slot in this part down here that's going to fit up into, like such, and our screw will come in from this side. And when you pull the handle, it opens the valve. Voila! I think that's going to work just fine. Go ahead and kind of put the whistle back together. I think that's going to do it. So I don't have plumbing to plumb this into my air system. I'd have to go to town and buy a bunch of air fittings and all that. I'm just running out of time. I don't have to do that, or I would love to blow this whistle for you guys on air pressure anyway. But yeah, we just don't have time to do that today, unfortunately. And just like that, this project is done. So we'll get this boxed up and headed back to its rightful owner. And I think that's going to work out good for them. So very nice to be able to properly fix this whistle, bring it back into working condition. Yeah, looks good. I'm going to get on the phone with him and figure out how he wants to handle getting that back to him, and we'll get heading that way. But guys, for today, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. As always, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon and PayPal. It really helps out a lot. Enables me to take the time to shoot these videos and do all the editing and everything else that goes along with it. And with that, guys, we are going to sign off. We're going to get out of here, and we will catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.